Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to a brand new vehicle which is going to be used today to expand our territory and finally push against the Onyx Watch lines. To explain exactly what this vehicle is, I have prepared a time-lapse just to show the building of the vehicle and a bit of narration over it, the best and most entertaining way to show around about 40 hours of building. So this vehicle is going to be replacing the booty box and will be our main naval unit. It's far more expensive, it's far larger, and until the enemy starts sending more metallic enemies against us, it should absolutely destroy all enemies it sees. So, into the montage and then into some battles. The idea I was going with this particular ship is, well, still somewhat on theme with the pirate idea. The idea of all of these ships we've been destroying, all of that metal we've been collecting, coming together into one giant battleship with a similar concept to the regular Onyx Watch ships. A lot of armor, some shielding, although in the end I did go for far more shielding than I originally intended, and mostly focusing on cram cannons, with a backup system of EMP warheads, well, EMP missiles, each of them with 3 warheads. I did quickly create 2 very basic drone thruster craft, but I've decided they are absolutely terrible, and I do need to spend more than just 3 or 4 minutes putting one together, so I will probably be working on that in the distant future. Since this is replacing the transport vessel, the booty box, it also has a lot in the way of transport capacity. It holds around about 70 to 100,000 of each resource, focusing mostly on scrap and metal and ignoring things like oil, since I really don't use that very much. And to do with oil, the ship does not have any regular engines. Although I am tempted to add some of these in the future, it is completely powered by battery power and RTGs. Now we are gaining almost 100,000 crystal every 5 to 10 minutes. We can splurge out a little bit more than you'd expect on lots of RTGs and those sort of things. We're also quite good for scrap. As we have so much metal reserve now, we can actually start smelting it down into scrap reserve, which means once again we can make RTGs and make things like that. The front turrets are the strongest of the ship as they have the most defense by a long shot. The middle turret is more powerful than it looks, even though it only shoots smaller shots because it shoots a full 5 seconds faster than any of the other turrets, and it has 3 cannons attached rather than just 1 or 2 like the rest. The side cannons are the weakest. There's 4 of them in total, each of them having 2 barrels, doing only minor damage. The idea for those is they fire fast-ish and are generally able to cripple the outside of a vehicle, enabling the huge explosions of the other cannons to actually do some serious damage. This also means the ship has a lot of redundancy. The major issues at the moment is that we still don't have enough engine power. We could add more RTGs, we could add more batteries, or we could go down the fuel route. Although if we do the fuel route, I will definitely have to make sure that it's creating its own fuel from oil, as that's just a more efficient way to actually transport it, and it means it can act as a transport vessel for other ships in its fleet. The other problem it currently has is it's just too heavy. I wanted it to be small-ish in comparison to the very large vessels of the Onyx Watch, and as such I've built upwards and downwards rather than outwards, meaning it's very thin for how heavy it is, and very tall, so its centre of mass is much higher than it needs to be, so it does have an issue of tipping when it fires its cannons, even with the recoil suppressants. Thankfully it can, however, float and just stay afloat for very, very long periods of time, thanks to it using mostly hydrofoils and very, very few air pumps. The air pumps are there, but they don't really do much since there's just not enough space in the hull to lift this weight. If it stays still, or its engines get completely blown out, even though there's loads of them separate everywhere, then it does have the issue of the hydrofoils don't work unless you move, and it will start to sink very, very slowly. Thankfully, enough air pumps to at least keep it from going straight to the bottom of the ocean particularly quickly. Nothing more really to say after that. All the weapons have been explained. The inside is very simple, just consisting of space armor and a lot of repair bots in addition to the storage. The ammunition is underneath inside the keel, which is heavily armored. And that is literally pretty much all there is to the ship. The shielding was added after these clips, so we can't see that, but that's as simple as can be. It's just in the center of the vehicle pointing outwards. So that's that. I hope you enjoy the rest of the time-lapse, and then we can get into a few fights. Well, I wouldn't call that exactly fair, but here goes the first battle using the battleship. So we are fighting against a capital, which I've never seen before, a buttress, another buttress, and whatever that is. On the other side, we have the churl, if that's how it's pronounced, something I can't pronounce, something I can't pronounce, and something I cannot pronounce. Well, it seems like the enemies have updated at least. Let's get you about there. Being short range isn't actually a bad thing for this. You spawn in first. Even though you are sub-vehicles, it seems like we have such a disadvantage in terms of force points, wow, we really do, that I can't spawn in my two little assistance drones, even though they're not really fully made yet anyway, so not a big deal to be honest. No, flagship. Can I please click on the right one? There we go. Missiles are firing, I'm actually holding on to some of my cannons, and cannon shots are firing as well. Well, there's the EMP missiles hitting the larger vessel at the back, as with a couple of shells. Oh, I don't think that's going to hit. Is it going to hit? It did hit! Yes, it did! Well, there goes your entire back section. As more EMP shots rain down, and another shell hits the bottom section. Well, that's that pretty much gone fairly quickly. Why am I not moving? Because I do actually need to move to stay afloat. I'm using hydrofoils rather than air pumps. Well, actually I'm using both, but the hydrofoils are more important. Okay, let's see how the shields hold up. The shields at the moment are not complete, so I'm not imagining we're going to be deflecting everything. Can't tell, that went too low. Can't tell, that went far too low. And triple deflect. Yeah, all of those deflected. Shells going flying into the air as well. I think I might be attacking salvage. Yes, yes I am. I'm attacking the dead. It seems like those little guys have no EMP resistance at all. Oh, saying that one didn't go instantly AI dead, but it did just take enough shells to the face where it's dead anyway. Have we taken any damage yet? We are still on 25.8, 25.8 that is, if I could do the speaking. AI dead, but the shells might hit anyway. Will they? No, they won't. Well, good job, the missiles did the job then. 2 damage. Oh no, they're my little guys. Well, they spawned in weirdly. They mustn't have... Oh, they didn't spawn in on the ship because they spawned in later. So what happened was, they got released already because we're in a fight. Yeah, if that doesn't spawn in with them, they probably will just sit there. So I'm assuming then this is the capital. Can see some shots being deflected, but I think they have hit underneath the hull. Yeah, we have definitely lost some health. But at the same time, it seems like they're losing health a lot quicker. Please deflect those 2 shells. 1 deflect, 1 explosion. Showing the power of functioning shields. And another deflect, excellent. One of our main shells hitting the center of the capital. And EMP just turning off turrets left and right. Oh, those EMP missiles are so useful. Although, considering we have a almost consistent fire rate with them, I am tempted to just make them damage. Unless I want to go and capture ships, of course, which I will do again in the future, so... Seems like the drone plane's not quite programmed correctly, though. And the enemies are dead. 2 forces successfully destroyed by our new battleship. A fantastic first showing, and only very minor damage sustained. Actually, where is the damage? Ah, I see. So yeah, it breached the hull here, which is actually fine, because this is where we have most of our hydrofoils, so that's a wet room anyway. And it did some damage to the back. Other than that, pretty smooth sailing. What a fantastic start. And a lot of dead things around here.
Listening.
Repair the derps, I suppose? Yes, the drones are called derps because I spent less than 3 minutes on them. And they can hardly work. They work if they spawn in with the main vehicle. That's so much resource. Should I go back or should I go for the resource zone? I actually don't know where the resource zone is. Is it over here or is it over here? Let's find out. We have found the resource zone. Excellent. Okay, we'll move some stuff over there which has some resources with it, like one of the fireworks or something. And then from there we can continue. Actually, we'll send over the rapier, since that's holding a lot of metal. And then, what we'll do is we'll continue on our journey to see if we can find some more enemies. I really want to fight something else. I think what happened is we aggroed both of these tiles, so that was just the defenders. So let's push a little bit further. Let's go on a bit of an exploration adventure. Then we can start actually working on our new resource zone and connecting them both with a very cheap supply line. I've got some ideas from some comments which were left when I was making the spires. Well, look what we found. We have found yet another resource zone. So this one has natural metal in excess, oil, which we don't really care about, and crystal, but sadly no scrap. Scrap is actually the thing we're currently running out of the most, so that's definitely something we'll have to do. I've also decided to put the rapier back because it simply didn't have enough resource, and not repair the derps. After looking back at the footage, it seems like I have set them up in a completely wrong way, so they're spawning upside down and then just going straight into the water. That's something I'll need to fix if I even keep the drones. Now anyway, let's fight against the thing known as the Forge. And yes, begin battle. We must have already been fighting its defenders, so it's just the Forge on its own versus us. Which I am completely fine with. Waiting for the main cannon to fire, then we'll follow shots. There it goes. I'm hoping those shots didn't do any major damage to us. It doesn't seem like it. We haven't lost all that much health. We have lost a little bit, though. And boom! There goes a large chunk of the enemy. followed by even more, and of course the EMP shots landing absolutely everywhere, taking out a lot of little things. It is supposed to be focusing on the weapons though, so that's also something I'll have to look into. Today is a good test. Today is the testing grounds for our unmanned battleship. There goes its main turret. And the AI is dead. We could actually capture it, but I'm too far away, and honestly, even if I turn off the weapon systems now, it's going to die before I get there. I could always just make one, though, with the scrap we get. It's called the Cauldron. I have to remember that. Or the Furnace. I saw what it was called a second ago, so I can look it up. And the enemy is dead. Wow. Doing a lot better than I expected, honestly. Well done for the reverse-engineered battleship. The Onyx Watch have taught our pirate selves well, and we are doing exceedingly well because of it. You get in there.
Moving out.
And defend that. Actually, we're going back now. We know where that is. We're going back to the other resource zone with all the resources we've got, and then we can start building around that, and then connecting all three of them to one building area, so we can consistently build fireworks, battleships, anything we want to combat the enemy. It's a dark day for Onyx Watch kind. Sadly, this resource zone is a rainy area, which means I'll probably do very little building here. What I would like to do, though, is while I'm just sitting here, is just turn on a couple of resource gatherers. Just so we're actually getting some stuff, and then we can start building the transfer. This is what it looks like when the ship isn't moving. It really is this unstable. It's all about those hydrofoils. Processed resources, and let's get a couple of the resource gatherers going. There we are, and there we are. We can't really gather much at the moment since most of our stores are full, but that will be enough to at least, well, fill them completely. So, how am I going to get resources from here to there, or from there to here? Well, if I just teleport over here, so that the rain magically goes away yet again, and we can actually see what we're doing, is I would like to build, and this is a really good suggestion from one of you lovely people in the comments section, a tiny little helicopter drone, which just flies above the water and stays there with some very basic material, like natural or something. Sorry, not natural, like just a single misc or a couple of misc resources, nothing really else, just that. Then we go with the processed resources, and since we have so much darn crystal, we can have more than one, just so we can actually have enough engine power. And then let's go with battery, and one. And yes, I know this thing's going to be flipping around the whole time. That looks fine. And finally, processed resources, and we want the electric engine. And this is actually going to remove that and get placed upside down. There we are, 100 power, 110, and so on and so forth. Oh lord, this is making me dizzy. Okay, I'm going to go and finish this in the sandbox mode. It's only going to take a second, but, well, derpy derp. This will make me vomit otherwise if we keep on just flipping around underwater. No rain and so much easier to build. Okay then, let's continue where we just left off, making this tiny, tiny little drone. Now, we could have it actually able to move, or we could have it so it just flies above the water and just stays there. Honestly, I think either of these options is completely reasonable, but first, we do actually have to get this stuff set up. So, I would like the dedicated heliblade spinner. This will keep it above the water, and let's just make it this big. Thankfully, we don't actually need to focus on which direction these go, as it works regardless. If that wasn't the case, the fireworks would not be able to move, at least, well, not able to stay in the air, so thankfully that is the case. I'm really tripping over my words today, not quite sure why. Oh look, those are the wrong way round! Everyone! Look how horrible that is, and I'm not going to change it, and all of you can go absolutely insane because of it. Motor drive on 10, there we go, and then control blocks, just for now, can go like this. If the, where is it now, not range, altitude is greater than, and we want the hydrofoils, the spin blocks, Set rotation speed to just 0 or something very, very low. Let's see if this actually flies. Whoa! We do not need this to be very powerful at all. I want it to fall. Oh, wow! That's almost exactly on point. Seems like I may need it to just be on 0 since the very low numbers there don't work. And let go. That's what I wanted to see. Very, very slowly descending. And that is if it's greater than, let's say, 15. The next one, we want again, if it's less than, spin blocks, let's say 15 again, to make it easier on myself, and set rotation speed 2. So this is 0.4, let's put this as 0.5. Let go again, it drops, and it should have sped up, but it's quite hard to tell if it has, on 2. And it slows down. Okay, so how about 1 exactly? We want it to look natural. That's fine. That could be a little bit slower on the ascent. And don't worry, I do know it's going to flip, that's why we're about to add the fantastic and wonderful jet stabilizers. And let go, and that should cause too much rocking because it's too suddenly powerful. Remove one of them so it's less intense. Well, it's not exactly natural looking, but we could make that a lot smoother in the future. So what do we have? 0.4 and 1. How about 0.6? Not quite enough to... Oopsie daisy. Not quite enough to make it lift. With the downwards force of it falling is the problem. Okay, let's just stick it at 1 for now. It doesn't really matter too much. We are focusing way too much on this little bot. We're not even going to see them. That's the funny thing. But I would like if it looked kind of cool. There we go. And the idea is, because they're absolutely tiny and incredibly cheap, we can make loads of these, and they are a movable supply line. If we set up the supply so one feeds into the next, with all of them being on different groups, it means we can get supply from one location all the way to another pretty much instantly. A bit like a pipeline, but in the air. So thank you very much to the person who suggested this. This was quite some time ago. I've seen this particular suggestion quite a bit, so I can only assume another YouTuber may have done it or something like that. And if so, really cool idea, and credit to them if they are indeed a person. There we are, all nice and smoothed out. Let's get off this, and that's what it looks like. Little floating drones. We could add speed to them by adding some thrusters. We definitely have more than enough power, but I think for now we'll just leave it as that. So, save vehicle. Float supply. Float line. Ah, they are the little float lines. Sounds like a weird phone line. Fine, the float lines, we'll set those up, and then we can get our resources actually all collected. But I'm afraid we'll have to do that in the next episode, as today I am all out of time. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourite, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. In the next episode, we'll hopefully have our resource situation sorted, and lots more battleships into the water. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.